Hello students, all the students of BA Part 3rd year are welcome in the class of English Literature. Myself Divya Kumari Meena, Assistant Professor, Government Girls College, Sikandra. In this video, we are going to discuss about the detailed study of the major authors of Victorian era. As we know that the Victorian era was started in 1837 till 1901. We all know that the most famous genre of literature was novel during this period, and the famous novelists were Charles Dickens, William Thackeray, three Bronte sisters, George Eliot, and Thomas Hardy. Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy wrote about the treatment of women and children. They also write about the dangers of factory work, as it was the time of the Industrial Revolution. So the children were forcefully included in the labor of factories. So the major themes of the novels were based upon the factory work, the plight of the lower class, and also the treatment of women and children. Barrett also write about the male-dominant world, but the women writers had to use male pseudonyms. Pseudonym is a second name which the writers use when they become famous. The most of the famous Victorian poets are Robert Browning, Alfred Tennyson, there are some notable playwrights: Gilbert, Sullivan, George Bernard Shaw, and Oscar Wilde. Thomas Hardy wrote poetry throughout his life, but did not publish a collection until 1898. The poetry of Gerald Manley Hopkins was published posthumously in 1918. A.C. Swinburne is also considered as an important literary figure of the period, and W.B. Yeats is another important poet of Victorian age. If we talk about the Lord Alfred Lord Tennyson, who is one of the most famous poet of Victorian era, he was a poet laureate who became poet laureate in 1850. Poet laureate means Shahi Kavi. He wrote many famous poems like In Memoriam. This is a psychological elegy. This elegy was written on the death of his friend Arthur Henry Hallam. Another famous poem of Tennyson are The Princess, or on the death of Duke of Wellington, Maud, Ideal of the King, Ulysses. Another famous poet of Victorian period is Robert Browning. Robert Browning was master of dramatic monologue. He wrote a different kind of poetry which is known as dramatic monologue. Pauline, Sardello, Bells and Pomegranates, dramatic lyrics, dramatic romances, Man and Woman are his famous early works, but there are some famous poems as The Last Ride Together, My Last Duchess, Rabbi Ben Ezra, Andrea del Sarto, and many more others are his famous poetries. Matthew Arnold is another famous poet, critic, and educationist. Most of his poetry was published before he was 45. His best known poems are The Forsaken Merman, Saurabh and Rustam. It is a narrative and epic style. The Scholar Gypsy, Tiresias. Tiresias is an elegy on the death of Arthur Conan Doyle. Another famous literary person of this age is Elizabeth Gaskell. Elizabeth Gaskell is a short story writer, a novelist, and a biographer. Mary Barton, Ken Ford, Ruth, North and South, Sylvia's Lovers, The Dark Knight's Work, Wives and Daughters are among her famous works. Charles Dickens was the most popular and internationally acknowledged English novelist who could not get good education just because of poverty. He wrote number of periodicals, but he is chiefly known for his novels. He is the supreme master of humor and pathos. His dialogues are lively and spontaneous, which he makes use of in tackling the social and economic problems of the day. Sketches by Boz is a collection of stories. Pickwick Paper. With the publication of the Pickwick Papers, Charles Dickens became the most popular English novelist at the age of 25. Oliver Twist, Nicholas Nickleby, The Old Curiosity Shop are some other famous works of Charles Dickens. There were three Emily Bronte sisters: Charlotte Bronte, Emily Bronte, and Anne Bronte, who were also famous in Victorian age. So these are the most famous writers of the Victorian era.